And first at 6, protecting kids and sexual assault victims. Advocates work to make their message clear about awareness as the Attorney General cracks down on the crimes. In 2010, the number of rape cases in South Carolina topped the national average for the first time in 30 years. As victims try to heal from sexual assault, one Midlands group says, do not try to heal alone. WIS's Jody Barr explains.
It's happening across South Carolina, and the problem is growing across the country. Statistics show that 1 in every 6 women have experienced rape or came very close to one.
So I went off to college excited like most young girls, young women, and really had a horrifying experience very early on, which unfortunately dictated a lot of unfortunate experiences to follow.
Jenny Waller, a rape victim, knew her attacker. It was a guy she met in class and a guy she thought she knew.
It's the person that you're an acquaintance with, possibly even related to. And we have got to get people to keep their guard up. Just because you know someone doesn't eliminate them from being a potential predator. Attorney General Alan Wilson joined several victim advocates Tuesday to warn the public that sexual assault is on the rise. So are the networks that help perpetrate sex crimes, like online child exploitation. The AG's office uses investigators to pose as children in chat rooms where they chat with predators who are looking for children. Think of how many of them are out there actually talking to real children. Those are the ones that slip through the cracks that we don't catch.
The operation snagged more than 200 internet predators since 2005. Some advice from someone who's lived the victim role. Don't blame yourself and don't be afraid to tell.
I want others to feel comfortable coming forward, knowing that there are many of us like it out there, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it can be a very, very bright light that puts you exactly where you need to be and where meant to be in life.
In 2010, the perpetrator in almost every single sexual assault case in South Carolina was either a relative or a friend of the victim. In only a very few cases were victims raped by complete strangers. From the State House, reporting for the Raycom News Network, I'm Jody Barr.
Here are a few more statistics from the South Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. More than 5,100 victims received services from assault centers statewide in 2010. Nearly 4,200 were female, nearly 800 male victims. Perpetrators from the cases included more than 3,200 males and 300 females. And breaking those numbers down a bit further, the majority were friends or acquaintances of the victim, as you heard Jody just say, usually a parent or step-parent.
This morning, representatives of the South Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault and Attorney General Alan Wilson held a news conference to talk about what's offered at sexual assault centers across the state.
I see how this destroys lives. I see how this, you don't just victimize the person. You victimize the family, everyone who knows the victim and the family, and you victimize the community when you perpetrate these kind of crimes.
Coalition members provide a range of services, including prevention education and going to the hospital with victims of sexual assault.
Well, a sober statistic, every 2 minutes, someone in the U.S. is a victim of sexual violence. In recognition of April being Sexual Assault Awareness Month, victims advocates coming together at the State House Tuesday. Officials from the South Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, known as SCCADVASA, offering educational tools and services to spread their message. And also at yesterday's event, Attorney General Alan Wilson, who says sexual crimes are often committed by those closest to us.
It's the person that you're an acquaintance with, possibly even related to. And we have got to get people to keep their guard up. Just because you know someone doesn't eliminate them from being a potential predator. And going back to the
now, Wilson said Assembly is currently working on legislation to crack down on human trafficking, which is another form of sexual violence. Coming up 1 week from Thursday, Wilson, along with other government officials and law enforcement, will strap on heels, pumps, or wedges to walk a mile in her shoes. The annual event helps raise awareness of sexual violence, prevention, and education. It'll take place at the Columbia Convention Center on Lincoln Street.